This is a video for higher design and manufacture. It focuses on section 1 of the exam paper. It has been made for the Forth Valley and West Lothian Regional Improvement Collaborative. Our learning intentions are to improve knowledge and understanding of section 1 topics, to practice answering section 1 questions from past papers, and to improve understanding of marking instructions and to apply this knowledge when answering future questions. The success criteria are: I can recall my knowledge of material properties and use it to justify material choices. I understand commercial manufacturing processes and what products they can make. I discuss the benefits and features of a range of commercial manufacturing processes. I can apply my knowledge of a range of design factors to discuss how they impact the design of a product. I can mark my own answers against a marking scheme. And I can evaluate my success and plan my next steps for revising. Throughout the lesson, you will see various symbols on the slides to indicate what you should do. The resources you will need for this lesson are lined paper or a jotter or notebook, pencil or a pen, a ruler. You may also wish to have highlighter pens or coloured pencils and sticky notes. We want to start today by focusing on materials questions. Question 1A in every paper will be a materials question, and it will ask you to explain why the materials chosen for two products are suitable for the purpose. Before we can answer questions on materials, we need to understand the properties of groups of materials. You should know groups of materials: softwoods, hardwoods, and manufactured boards, thermoplastics and thermosetting plastics, ferrous metals and non-ferrous metals, and of them, what are alloys and pure metals. You also need to know about the properties of materials and their suitability for different applications. So let's start by making sure we have this knowledge. The softwoods that you need to know for higher level are red pine and spruce. Pause the video now, copy the table and complete the properties and the common uses of each of these materials. The hardwoods that you need to know for higher level are beech, ash, mahogany, and oak. I suggest that you pause the video now, copy the table and complete the properties and common uses of each material. The manufactured boards that you need to know at higher level are plywood, flexi-ply or flexible plywood, medium density fibreboard, chipboard, hardboard, blockboard, and a range of veneered boards. You should also have knowledge on the sustainability issues around manufactured boards. I suggest that you pause the video now, copy the table, and complete the properties and common uses of each material. Let's put that knowledge into practice. Higher design and manufacture paper is worth 80 marks and you are given 2 hours in which to complete it. This works out at 1.7 minutes per mark. I would like you to look at this high chair which is made of solid beech and explain why solid beech is appropriate for the high chair. I'd like you to aim for 3 marks purely on this material. Remember to answer in full sentences and not to bullet point. For a 3-mark question, you'd be expected to be able to do it in less than 6 minutes. Pause the video now and write your answer. Time to mark your answer. Candidate explanations should relate to the materials chosen for the high chairs and or their component parts or features. It should include the properties or benefits of the materials related to this product. No marks are awarded for repetition of properties, benefits, or characteristics. In other words, the benefits you describe should be in relation to the high chair and need to be a benefit for a high chair. For solid beach, you would have been given marks for saying any of the following things. That solid beach is strong and will be able to hold the weight of a child. Strong on its own would not get marked. Solid beach is resistant to warping or has a straight grain. This means it would last a long time. Solid beach has good aesthetic qualities and is pleasant to look at. Solid beach is easy to work with and shape. Solid beach is easy to clean or wipe down, which is an obvious benefit with a messy baby. Solid beach is durable and resistant to wear and tear. As with any hire paper, the marking instructions also includes this statement, any other suitable explanation. One thing that you may have picked up on is that solid beach has a benefit over plywood veneered beach. Take away knowledge from this question. It's an explain question, so it's asking you to write a sentence which tells you why something is appropriate. Suitable. The materials that are listed are suitable and appropriate for their use. Infer. If you don't know the properties of the materials, what can you infer from its use? A good comparison would be in English when you're asked to tell us the meaning of a word by looking at its context. If you know what the product is and where it's being used, what part it's being used for and what stresses and strains it may be under, you can infer some of the properties that that material must have because it has been chosen to be suitable and appropriate for its use in that product. Answering these questions can be as easy as A, B, C. A. Answer. Name the reason and use the question's wording. B. Because. Write the word because. C. Comment. Say why the reason has affected the product. A. Solid beach is strong, which is appropriate for the high chair because it needs to hold the weight of a child. You could then go on to develop that answer and add an additional explanation to get 2 marks. Using the ABC method just discussed, I would like you to now answer this question. The handle of the scooter is made from solid beech and the body is made from a beech face plywood. You're being asked to explain why the materials used are appropriate for this product. I'd like you to try for 5 marks. This should take you no more than 10 minutes. Pause the video now and write down your answers. Time to mark your answers. Beech plywood has good strength across both directions, which is good for the scooter because it will withstand the weight of the user. It's available in large sheets, much larger sheets than you'd get from a natural wood because of the size of a tree. It can take a variety of finishes, and it's cheaper than using a natural wood. Or any other suitable explanation. For beech plywood, you may have answered a question on sustainability, about how it is better for the environment compared to a natural wood. Solid beech has good strength to weight ratio, which is good for the scooter because it will be strong and withstand the weight of the user, but won't be too heavy for them to use. It's resistant to warping, so will last a long time. It has good aesthetic qualities and looks nice. And it's easy to work with and shape, which is handy when the handles are round. Any other suitable explanation? Let's focus on the exam technique behind answering this question. For this coat stand, as soon as I see it and I'm reading lacquered MDF, my brain is thinking of the following things. the durability of the material, the strength to weight of the material, the strength with a justification for its purpose, the weight in the context of being a coat stand, is it a readily available material, are there any safety concerns or safety issues with the material, is it suitable for the production methods that are presumably being used, does it have any specific aesthetic properties, and how does it fare in terms of sustainability? All of these could be a reason why MDF was chosen over other materials. These are the keys to unlocking the answer. I would suggest that you pause the video now and copy down those bullet points. Before we move on to look at a different material, I'd like us to think about these products and how they have been commercially manufactured. Question B in the higher paper will always ask you to name 3 appropriate manufacturing processes used in the production of the product and to explain why they're suitable. For these products, I'd like you to focus on how has the scooter handle been commercially made, how has the scooter body been commercially made, and how have the parts of the high chair been commercially made. For a 6-mark question, this should take you no more than 10 minutes. Time to mark your answer. For this question, you get 3 marks for naming suitable processes and a further 3 marks for justifying why they are suitable. You may have said that they have used templates or jigs, and this ensures consistency in size, reduces the time of repetitive tasks, it's a repeatable process, it's a highly accurate process, and there's an economy of scale when looking at mass or batch production. CNC routing or spindle moulding has been used to cut shape sections for both the scooter and the high chair. You must make reference to this being CNC. This gives a clean finish, multiple sections of the same shape can be cut together, and again, it's a repeatable process with high levels of accuracy and economies of scale. You may also have discussed the lamination process of making plywood. Holes must be drilled for dowels, and you could link this back with jigs. The handle of the wooden scooter has been made using a CNC lathe. If you had said a wood lathe, this would get no marks because this is not a commercial process. It would be improbable for someone to stand there all day, every day, hand making all of them. Staining has been used for finishing to apply a colour to the high chair. Mark your answers now. Let's now move on to metals. We'll start by looking at non-ferrous metals and alloys. The non-ferrous metals and alloys that you need to know at higher level are aluminium, copper, brass, tin, and zinc. I suggest that you pause the video now, copy the table down, and complete the properties and common uses of each material. The ferrous metals and alloys that you need to know at higher level are cast iron, iron, mild steel, high-speed steel, and stainless steel. I suggest that you pause the video now, copy down the table, and complete the properties and common uses of each material. Time to put our knowledge into practice. This is question 1A from the 2019 past paper. You're being asked to explain why tubular mild steel is appropriate for the frame and back wheels of the wheelchair. I'd like you to try and get 3 marks by making 3 statements. Remember to answer in full sentences and do not bullet point. This should take you roughly 6 minutes. Pause the video now and answer your question. Before we go on to mark your answers, let's have a think about how to think about this question. Why is it tubular steel instead of solid? And why is it mild steel instead of a different type of metal? If you're not sure of the properties of mild steel, what can you infer from the material because it's been chosen to be suitable? It must be suitable. So what properties must mild steel have in order to be suitable for making that wheelchair? Okay, let's look at the marking instructions. You should have made 3 statements of the following things. It's durable. This means it's resistant to wear and tear and damage. It's corrosion resistant if coated. It's widely available. It's suitable for production methods, and you may have said that it has been extruded. It's easy to clean. It has good strength, and this means it is able to hold the weight of the user. Good strength on its own without that explanation would get 0 marks. It has a good strength to weight ratio, and you may have described that as being easy to use and easy to carry around, but still strong enough to hold the person. And in tubular form, it's lightweight, which is good for manoeuvring the item. Pause the video now and mark your answers. Let's now continue by looking at a different material from the same question. This time I want you to explain why aluminium is appropriate for the front wheels of this wheelchair. I want you to try and make 2 marks, and again remember to answer in full sentences, not in bullet points. This should take you roughly 4 minutes. Pause the video now and answer the question. Let's look at the marking instructions. To get 2 marks, you must have said 2 of the following things about aluminium. That it is lightweight. This means that it's easy to move around, doesn't add extra weight, something like that. It is suitable for recycling. It has good chemical resistance, making it easy to clean. It is corrosion resistant, i.e. it won't rust or degrade. And again, it has good strength to weight ratio with an explanation. Pause the video now and mark your answer. Now that we have looked at the materials used, let's have a think about the manufacturing processes that would be involved in the manufacture of the wheelchair. I would like you to name 3 appropriate manufacturing processes used in the production of these wheelchairs and explain why each one of them is suitable. I'd like to try and name and justify one process for each of the following parts of the wheelchair. Tubular mild steel frame and back wheels, the aluminium front wheels, and the standard components that have been used for assembly. This question should take you no more than 10 minutes to complete, and it is question 1B from the 2019 past paper. Pause the video now and answer your question. Question 1B is worth 6 marks, and 3 of those marks come from stating the name of a suitable process. So let's mark that part first. You would gain 1 mark for saying each of the following things. That the frame has been extruded, bent, or welded. That there has been piercing or CNC drilling of holes. That the stainless steel fittings have been blanked. The frame was dip coated. The wheels were die cast. And fixtures and fittings may also have been die cast. Pause the video now and mark your answers. There are a further 3 marks for this question from justifying why the process you've selected is suitable. This could be 2 marks for one justification and another mark from another place. Let's look at extrusion to begin with. Extrusion is repeatable because it's a machine and it's highly automated. Extrusion is also accurate for the same reason. Extrusion will give you a uniform cross-section along the length, so the walls will all be a consistent thickness. The pipe needs to be hollow, and that means that the form is suitable for the process of extrusion. As with many automated machinery, there is an economy of scale with extrusion. There is a high quality of surface finish as long as the die has a high quality surface finish the which has been forced out of. Strength is retained in the process, unlike if you were to drill or bend or shape something, it would lose some of its strength. Pause the video now and mark the rest of your answers. Time to look at plastics. The thermoplastics that you need to know at higher level are ABS, acrylic, polypropylene, shortened to PP, polystyrene, shortened to PS, nylon, polythene, shortened to PE, and polyvinyl chloride, shortened to PVC. I suggest that you pause the video now, copy this table, and complete the properties and common uses of each of the materials. The thermosetting plastics that you need to know at higher level are urea formaldehyde and melamine formaldehyde. I suggest that you pause the video now, copy the table, and complete the properties and common uses of each of those materials. At higher level, you also need to know about composite materials. Composite materials are any material that's made from a mixture of more than one dissimilar material. The specific composite materials that you need to know at higher level are glass reinforced plastic, or GRP, and carbon fibre plastics. There are other composite materials that you have already covered. Manufactured boards are a mixture of wood-based materials and glues, so they are also classed as a composite material. For these two composite materials, I would suggest that you pause the video now, copy the table, and complete the properties and common uses of each of those materials. Let's now put our knowledge into practice. We're focusing on plastic materials now. This is still question 1B from the 2019 paper, and this time I'm asking you to explain why ABS is appropriate for the footrests of the wheelchair. I'd like you to try for 2 marks, remembering to answer in full sentences and not in bullet points. This should take you no more than 4 minutes. Let's look at the marking instructions. To get 2 marks, you need to have said 2 of the following things. ABS has good impact resistance, and this means it is able to be knocked and dropped. It has good strength, meaning it is able to hold the weight of the user. Good strength or strong on its own would get no marks. It is chemically resistant, which makes it easy to clean. It is suitable for the production method of injection moulding. It is scratch resistant, and you may have said this is because feet and shoes will go onto them. And they are durable and will withstand wear. Pause the video now and mark your answer. Let's look at the same question but with a different material. This time you're being asked to explain why nylon is appropriate for the seat of the wheelchair. Again, I would like you to try and make 2 marks worth of answers. This should take you no more than 4 minutes, and it is still question 1B from the 2019 paper. Pause the video now and answer your question. Let's look at the marking instructions for nylon now. To get 2 marks, you need to have said 2 of the following things. It is durable or resistant to wear. It is strong or safe and will hold the weight of the user. It has good chemical resistance for ease of cleaning. It has excellent abrasion resistance, so it won't rip, tear or fray. It is easily recyclable, and it is flexible and will mould to the shape of the user. In this case, you get no marks for saying that nylon is self-lubricating. Whilst it is true that nylon is self-lubricating, this is not a benefit for the seat of this wheelchair. It would be a benefit if it was nylon being used to make a wheel, or something that moved. Pause the video now and mark your answer. Now that we have looked at different metals and their properties, and plastics and their properties, I would like you to have a shot of marking this candidate answer from the Understanding Standards website. Pause the video now and mark this candidate's answer. The candidate was awarded 3 marks. The first mark for saying the ABS adjustable footrest is suitable because it was easy to clean. The second for saying the carbon fibre back wheels are suitable because they are durable and hard wearing. And the third mark from saying the aluminium frame is suitable because it won't rust. Let's look at that in more detail now. I have highlighted where the 3 marks have come from. Let's look at where the other answers are and explain why they are not suitable answers. The aluminium front wheels are suitable because they are strong enough to hold the weight of the user. This is not strictly true as the weight is not being distributed onto the wheels. Aluminium is also not a terribly strong material. They've also said that aluminium is scratch resistant, which is not true. They've later then gone on to talk about stainless steel bumper and wings being suitable as they provide support to the wheels and make it aesthetically look better. The bumper and wings do not provide support to the wheels, and making something look better is not an aesthetic appeal. The nylon collapsible seat is suitable because it can be easily stored away, is not a benefit of nylon, and the fact it's a waterproof material is not a benefit either. Let's look at a different answer now from a different candidate. This one again has come from the Understanding Standards website. This candidate has gone into a lot more detail and depth, and I would like you to pause the video in a moment and mark the answer. And I want to see how many correct points this person has made. Pause the video now and mark this candidate's answer. This candidate was awarded 6 marks out of 6. The candidate has made more than 6 points, and those have been highlighted on the screen. ABS is durable. ABS is chemically resistant, allowing it to be cleaned. Mild steel is strong enough to hold the user's weight. Carbon fibre is light but strong. Stainless steel is corrosion resistant. Nylon is self-lubricating with a justification. And aluminium is incredibly light. Let's look at where the candidate has gone wrong. ABS is a scratch resistant material, but they haven't explained why this is a benefit to the wheelchair. Mild steel does not have a good strength to weight ratio. Nylon is chemically resistant, but they've used chemical resistance in an earlier answer. You cannot repeat properties and expect to get more than 1 mark. Otherwise, you could say ABS is chemically resistant, mild steel is chemically resistant, nylon is chemically resistant, and this wouldn't be fair. Questions 1, C, D, and E in the exam paper every year are slightly different from one another, but they do all focus on design factors. Examples of C, D, and E questions are: describe how function has influenced design of the product. Describe how anthropometrics and physiology have influenced the design of the product. Discuss the aesthetics of the product. Describe how function and safety have influenced the design of the product. Describe how production and planning systems could have been used to improve efficiency during the manufacture of the product. Describe how the design of these products has been influenced by safety issues. Describe how ergonomics has influenced the design of these products. Explain the benefits of using CAD in the development of products such as this. Describe how consideration of the environment has impacted on the design, manufacture, and use of the product. So let's focus on the design factors and putting them into the context of exam questions. But before we do that, we need to make sure that you understand that an issue does not equal a problem. An issue in higher design and manufacture is just an important topic that needs to be discussed. So a safety issue is not a problem with safety, it's just something related to safety that needs to be considered or has been considered. Function is a common design factor for questions C, D, and E. You are usually asked what the influence of function has been on the products you have been given in the question. This might be related to its primary or its secondary function. Let's put that into practice. Describe how function has influenced the design of these wheelchairs. The question is worth 5 marks, so you need to make 5 distinct points. This question should take you no more than 10 minutes. Pause the video now and write down your answers. Let's look at the marking instructions. To get 5 full marks, you need to have said 5 of the following things. It is easily folded for portability and storage. It has been simply designed with ease of use in mind. The handles and wheel rims are for pushing. There are brakes. It is resistant to everyday knocks. It has easy maintenance that can be carried out at home. Slip hazards were identified and rectified. It is easily steered and manoeuvred. It can support the weight of the user. It is comfortable for the user. It has good stability. 4 wheels make sure it has balance. It has a secure grip on the handles. And overall the construction is strong for everyday use. Pause the video now and mark your answer. The next design factor I want to look at is ergonomics. Ergonomics can be split into 3 areas. These are physiology, anthropometrics, and psychology. Let's start by looking at anthropometrics because this is the one you're probably most familiar with. The human body sizes impact the design. If a design is made too big or too small for its users, it becomes difficult or impossible for people to use it. At higher, for each mark in an anthropometrics answer, you need to reference one specific body size and one specific product size. For example, when discussing an office chair, the distance from the sole of the foot to the knee will determine the height of the seat. The width of the hips will determine the width of the seat. The SQA provides you with a data booklet. This is an excerpt from that data booklet specifically looking at anthropometric data. The image shows the different elements of anthropometric consideration. In your data booklet, there is a range of information about intended users, the range of different sizes between these users. There are data tables which tell you the individual sizes of each of these body parts. There are appropriate percentiles. It talks about inclusive design. You may also have to consider things like age, gender, ethnicity, and the situation in which it's being used. The different letters link to different key measurements of the human body, and those would have to be linked to the product that needs to be considered. Psychology. We often think about psychology as the study of the brain. In design and manufacture, we have to consider what information the user's brain is getting from the feedback from the senses. If I push a button, how do I know it has successfully worked? Does it click? Does it change position? Does a light come on? Do I feel, see, or hear anything different that tells me I have successfully pushed that button? Physiology. Physiology is the study of the limits of the human body. In other words, what do you have to do in order to get the item to work? You'll have to consider the weight of the product and the strength of the user. The strength of a user will vary between ages, genders, and ethnicities. You also have to consider the comfort of the user and whether any strains or pressures will be applied to their body. In some instances, pressures will be required on the product in order to make it work. You have to make sure that the body is able to make those pressures. You may also have to think about rotation of limbs. You'll have to think about the forces that are being applied to the body, and any limitations which are relevant to the age of the user or the dexterity of the user. Let's put all of that into practice. Here I would like you to describe how anthropometrics, psychology, and physiology have influenced the design of this wheelchair. This question is worth 6 marks and is taken from the 2019 paper and is question 1C. You must refer to all 3 areas to attract full marks in this question. Pause the video now and answer the question. Time to mark our answers. Starting by looking at anthropometrics and reminding ourselves you need to have made reference to a part of the product and a part of the human body, the diameter of the handles and the diameter of grip for a person, the length of the handles and the width of a person's hand, the length of the footrests and the length of a person's foot, the width of the footrests and the width of a person's foot, the diameter of wheel ribs and the grip of a person's hand, reach to the wheel rims and the comfortable distance someone can extend their arm, the width of the seat in relation to the width of a person's hip, the height of the backrest in relation to the height of a person's back, the depth of the seat in relation to the size between knee and buttocks, the height of the armrests in terms of a comfortable seating position for arms folded, adjustable height of the footrest to adjust for different sizes of people, and the support of the weight of user in relation to the person's weight. Pause the video now and mark your anthropometric answers. Time to look at physiology, and a reminder that physiology is the limits of the human body. You may have discussed the force required to push and pull the wheels using the wheel rims, the force required to push and pull using the handles as a person pushing the person in a wheelchair, posture issues, the comfort of the user whilst using the item, the strength required to lift the wheelchair, perhaps in and out of a vehicle, and the dexterity of the user in order to operate it. Pause the video now and correct your answer for physiology. Finally, we're going to look at psychology. You may have discussed the perception of feeling or being safe, the perception of being or feeling secure, any grip or slip issues when getting into or out of the wheelchair, any audible noises the wheelchair may make. There may be sounds that make you feel safe to use it or unsafe if it is creaking and groaning. There may also be sounds to indicate that it has been properly assembled. It looks simple to use, which gives the user some user confidence. And generally, it feels robust when in operation. It doesn't feel sugary. Pause the video now and correct the rest of your answers. The next design factor I want to look at is aesthetics. It is too simple to just say that aesthetics is the way an item looks. When describing aesthetics in design and manufacture, you are likely to describe it in terms of these things: the shape, the line, form, proportion, pattern, light, texture, colour, fashion, style or brand, contrast, harmony, balance or symmetry, and market trends. Let's look at the sample answer for the scooter from the earlier question. The wooden scooter is neutral in colour, which makes it suitable for a wider market. This receives 1 mark because you are discussing the colour. Aluminium scooter has a good contrast of colour to the natural metal and a sleek form which makes it look very sporty. You are talking both about the contrast between the 2 different materials and the form. The natural wood, red and black, used for the wooden scooter gives a very traditional look compared to the futuristic look of the kick scooter. This gathers 1 mark for the traditional look compared to the futuristic look, i.e. the styles. In order to gain a mark, you need to discuss using the keywords in the previous slide. Let's put our knowledge into action. I would like you to describe the aesthetics of the scooters using the 14 different areas of aesthetics. I would like you to write 1 statement for each of these 14 areas. This should take you no more than 28 minutes. Pause the video now and write your answer. Looking back now, this was the sample answer from earlier. You should make sure that you are describing the colour, the contrast, etc. of one scooter compared to the other, or one scooter on its own. Mark your answers now. Focus on the environment. These are the 6 R's of sustainability. Reduce. Cut down on the amount of material and energy you use as much as you can. Manufacturers are looking to design products that have fewer materials in them, that take less energy to make, and need less packaging during transport. Rethink. Do we make too many products? You can design in a way that considers people and the environment. Do I really need this product? As a manufacturer, can I do things differently? Can this product be shared with another consumer? Designers and manufacturers can make products that do the same job more efficiently. Repair. When a product breaks down or doesn't work properly, try to get it fixed. Designers have a responsibility to design products that can be repaired more easily. It takes fewer resources to replace a part of a product than to replace the whole item. Refuse. Don't buy a material or buy a product if you don't need it or if it's bad for people or the environment. The consumer has a choice as to whether they buy a product or not. They can ask the following questions. Should they refuse the product because it is inefficient? Should they refuse the product because its packaging creates too much waste? Recycle. Reprocess material or products and make something else. Glass can be crushed, melted and made into new bottles. Aluminium cans can be melted down and made into new products. Plastic bottles can be recycled into drainage pipes and clothing. Reuse. Use the product to make something else with all or parts of it. Consumers could sell or donate products they no longer use themselves so that someone else can use them. Some charities will collect items for reuse. Mobile phones. Disposable or sustainable? Many manufacturers are accused of encouraging people to dispose of products which work perfectly in order to buy a new product. The mobile phone is a good example of a product with built-in obsolescence or planned obsolescence. Many people may buy a new phone every 12 or 18 months because a better phone is available. Their old phone may work still perfectly, but is no longer desirable to them and is often thrown away. The appeal of a new phone may be it has a smaller casing, more function, bigger memory, better camera, more features. This constant upgrading of mobile phones makes a product less sustainable. It is likely to be bought, used for a relatively short period, and then disposed of. Let's recap what our learning intentions were. To improve your knowledge and understanding of Section 1 topics. To practice answering Section 1 questions from past papers. To improve understanding of marking instructions and then apply this knowledge when answering future questions. Time to measure your success. I can recall my knowledge of material properties and use it to justify material choices. I understand commercial manufacturing processes and what products they can make. I discuss the benefits and features of a range of commercial manufacturing processes. I can apply my knowledge of a range of designer factors to discuss how they impact the design of a product. I can mark my own answers against a marking scheme, and I can evaluate my success and plan for my next steps for revising. Next steps. The number of marks available for each section does vary from one year to the next. The SQA do say that for design there should be between 30 and 50 marks, for materials and manufacture 26 to 42 marks, and the impact of design and manufacturing technologies on society, the environment and the world of work between 4 and 8 marks. You have now covered almost all of the most common content in Section 1. Section 1 is worth 25 out of a total of 80 marks available for the question paper at higher level. As you can see, there is a lot of course content we've already covered for those other areas in Section 2.